Hello whiskey lovers, and welcome to another one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. Today we're going to Islay, and we're going to the newest kid on the block on Islay, Ardnahoe. It's the youngest distillery on Islay, founded by an independent bottler, Hunter Lang and Company. Remember, a few years ago, well, a decade ago already, in fact, Fred and Stuart demerged from Douglas Lang, and then Fred and his daughter Cara kept Douglas Lang, while Stuart and his sons founded Hunter Lang and Company. Now, they were bottlers at first, but then they thought, hey, we want our own distillery as well. And they were able to buy a parcel of land on Islay, on the east coast of Islay, between Port Askeig, where you can find Kalila, and then in the north you have Bunnahaven. Well, smack dab in the middle, they found this beautiful spot that overlooks the Sound of Islay. Beautiful view on the Paps of Jura across the strait. It's absolutely stunning. And for their master of malt, they were able to convince legendary Jim McEwen to come out of retirement. Jim McEwen had spent a lot of years of his career at Bowmore Distillery, but then he worked for Bruichladdich, and then he retired, or so he thought. When Hunter Lang proposed to him to become the malt master, or the director of malt, or whatever you want to call it, the master distiller basically, of Ardnahoe, Mr. Jim McEwen could not pass up that opportunity, because for the first time in his career, he would have a say in the development. It was not an established brand. He would finally be able to put his very own, very professional stamp on the whiskey. So he jumped at the chance. And we can only be happy for that, because here we have the inaugural release from the Ardnahoe distillery. Now, they took quite a while to release this. They actually allowed the whiskey to mature for no less than 5 years before they actually came out with this one. And it is a vatting of Ardnahoe 5 years old from bourbon casks and Oloroso sherry casks, which explains this beautiful deep golden color. When they released it, that was last year, it is a release that is 70,000 bottles strong, which is, well, not bad. And every bottle, or well, the whiskey, has been reduced to a drinking strength of 50% ABV. So the inaugural release of Ardnahoe at 50% ABV on the nose. That's actually quite good, and very, very Islay, to be honest. But if I may say so, this smells a bit like a combination of 90% Ardbeg 10-year-old and 10% Lagavulin 16-year-old. And I guess that's a blessing and a curse at the very same time. Because on the one hand, it is a compliment that you can create a new Islay-style whiskey that smells this good at only 5 years old, if you are to compare it to Ardbeg 10 and Lagavulin 16, two very established brands. On the other hand, of course, it does also mean that, well, it's, how to put this mildly, it's nothing new. I've smelt this before. Nevertheless, it's 100% Islay, so I am not complaining. I'm getting a lovely mixture of lemon and barley sugar, farmer's butter in there, a bit of a sheep stable, if you know what I mean. Green garden herbs, soft smoke, very approachable and very, very lovely indeed. Oh, good stuff on the palate. Cloying, oily, almost syrupy, smoky, sweet, and even a tad umami. I get those barley sugars again, but also, ribs on the barbecue, and then they have this sweet and sour dressing on them, and then you get the dessert, a pineapple on that very same barbecue, and then the smoke. It really, it's lovely, but then towards the end, mid palate, it recedes and it is replaced with a truckload of vanilla and a bit of pepper. Very round, and to be honest, at this age, I'm impressed on the finish. That finish is long. The smoke remains subtle, to be honest. It's not in your face, but it is unmistakable. It is 100% Islay, really. And fruity sweet towards the end. Well, this is actually quite impressive for such a young malt indeed. This is very promising for the future. So let's keep a keen eye on Ardnahoe. And I look forward to visiting them. When I was last in Islay, this is September 2017, there was nothing there. There was just, there was just a plaque saying Ardnahoe will open here in 2018. It took a bit longer at the end. They had only poured the foundations at the time we were there. But I am very much looking forward to visiting them again in September 2026, if all goes well. And then I will be able to find out if that view is indeed as stunning as the pictures show. And I will be able to try some more Ardnahoe. A final note on this bottling, if I may say so, being 5 years old and 70,000 bottles strong, I do find it a bit on the expensive side because this bottle will set you back around 90 euros. I do fear that it might be a while before all 70,000 are off the shelves. But hey, inaugural release, Islay, and actually quite lovely. And that's all for this Whisky Rambling, and I hope to see you at one of Mark's Whisky Ramblings real soon. And until then, may the malt be with you. Bye-bye.